tuned to Noise Party. Tonight, we have Stone Soup Poets at TT the Bears with Letif, Nancy Mindich, The Wrong Hero, Jim Rader, Chief Autumn Tree, Chris Robbins, Diana Saenz, S.A.S.P, Joanna Nealor, Marc Goldfinger, Ashagra, Dan Luft, Asnan Onart, Jack Powers and Company, Matt Boston, and Alda Marshall, Part 1. Noise Party is broadcast every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. on Cambridge Community Television, Channel 55. Produced by Francis DiMenno, your host, Jack Powers.
1, 2, 1, 2. I'm going to start about 2 minutes on time. The blues one. Got a lot to squeeze into. Are our lights okay for filming?
Excellent.
Okay. Back in 1 minute. Two. Welcome to TT the Bears Place. Another Monday, another Stone Soup Poets Extravaganza. By the way, great day yesterday in Central Square for the World Fair. And sorry we couldn't have done our telepoetics. We had to call that off because we did not have a technician capable of mounting that auspicious. Well, it's really a difficult thing to put together. At any rate, Jim Dunn was down at the Walt Whitman house where we would have been shooting to, and he was on telepoetics out to Mary Lee's shot in Hollywood, California. So Jim may join us tonight and tell us a little about that. First reader, anyone new to the scene here, we ask you to confine yourself to 4 to 5 minutes, please, so that, well, preferably 4, so we can get everyone on in the first set. We always say thank you to Bonnie Velez and Miles for their hospitality. Thank you, Bonnie. Angie's on the camera, Jerry's on the lights and sound, and Julie's at the door, and all's well with the world. We're going to start with someone that probably many of us have never seen before. Is this the altercating Letif?
Yeah! Big man! Big man! This goes out to my postcard book, Tales to Give You Goosebumps. Rampageous, aghast, phantasms. The extraneous makes someone's hair stand on end. Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Tales to give you goosebumps, hip bones connected to my neck bones. Spirit goes like the wind in shift to gear flight, while he thrills and chills his protuberous, horn, horrific, blaring runoff at the mouth. A burgeoning, creepy crawly, jack-straring, walking scarecrow of midnight, wend one's way on the Black Widow, Dixie dragging, dirty weathering maze hotbed, dreading the rough hewn corn pone, feed your head vultures into a breakout in a sweat, lily livers. Disturbing the gods for Claude's priest, chilling to the bones apparitions are convinced ironic page. Ferociously, a calamitous, break one's neck, crack one's face, bull in a china shop, abominable gorilla of Pasadena, jumbo mouths, his hairy, merry ass, explosion of rage, go apeshit, jaw-breaking bones, while he rips and tears to the tits, a run it up the flagpole and see who salutes, fluorescent streetlight. Egotext, heterodoxy, spew one's guts, piss house factory, green as owl shit, egg monster from Mars, choose faces, 4 at a time, chicken scratching, spit out the window, juice-headed, hard-boiled ovums, while clusters of reek of putrefaction, Noxema excretions, dribble down the amber liquid, tonsil oil, let me sleep all night in your soul kitchen stove.
That was Letif. Pleasure to invite up now with kind of a fun poem. She'll explain it. Nancy Mindich.
Actually, this poem was created by a couple people. Actually, me, Jack, and somebody named John Bergstrom. And it's actually, if you're ever, this is kind of a fun thing to do, is, you know, if you're with a couple of friends, each person can write 3 lines, and then you fold the first 2 lines over, and you respond to the 3rd line that you see. So by the time you're finished, you wind up with a poem. And this is what we came up with. Recaptured innocence is possible. Clocks without numbers, anything but vinegar, sour apples. The architecture of a tree in a seed, drenched spring. Blossoms blooming like umbrellas with wings of angels. So that's what we came up with. You might want to try that too. And I guess I'd like to try to recite a really old poem written many years ago about women and violence. And it's about looking at a photograph in a newspaper and seeing a woman who's had a photograph of a woman who's had an act of violence committed against her. And in a way, I'm kind of responding to some ways to the poem, you know, when people speak in such ways that maybe glorify violence or what we see in the media. And it's called Between the Lines. I hope to heck I can remember. I saw her bleeding, and she bled within the frame of that still life photograph, the grays and blacks melting under a picture of some other, luckier woman who was holding a Coke bottle. I saw her bleeding, and the gray blood, I thought it would stream across the page, down past the page number. I knew her. Her eyes were half closed like mine, and as we squinted at each other, I thought I saw the sorrow of her lips curl down. Her hands, which were not in the photograph, must have been clenched as mine were, or perhaps they were open, 2 palms waiting. Between the fine print, too big to be lost between the lines, I saw what she was saying. The name woman curled around her mouth, and a song that I remembered, quietly hummed beneath her breath.
Mindich. Our next reader will be Francis DiMenno, The Wrong Her.
The Wrong Hero. Thank you, Jeff. I'm going to do something that the Wrong Hero almost never does, and given the menu, recite a poem. Arthur Hugh Clough wrote a new decalogue, and Ambrose Bierce tried his hand at writing a decalogue in rhymed couplets. And so I thought I would write a decalogue as well, and I call it The 10 Commandments for the Coming Millennium. No gods but one shall be allowed. Two's company and three's a crowd. A graven image is a crime, unless it's in the Guggenheim. Take not the name of God in vain, unless it be to entertain. The Sabbath is a day of rest. Work only at your wife's request. Show not your parents disrespect. Just treat them with benign neglect. Thou shalt not kill thine enemy, unless the state doth so decree. Adultery will God displease, unless your neighbor's wife's a tease. Don't steal, but if it be your fate to take what isn't yours, expropriate. Don't perjure, lie, or spread a slander. Do your neighbor in with candor. Covet not what is your neighbor's, easier to mock his labors. And covet not his ass or ox, just tax it by a ballot box. In sum, to win the world's respect, embrace the law and genuflect. In public, it is circumspect. You know, they say brevity is the soul of wit, but you know, when I think about that's too long. How about brevity is a And now, in the time remaining, a few more what I call new saws. Foolish modern proverbs. A hungry monkey will not dance, and a scalded cat will run away from cold milk. And I'm thinking, who's in charge here? What kind of nightmare world is this? The frog wanted to be an ox, and he swelled up until he burst. And I'm thinking, gee, it's too bad I couldn't get that on video. The sparrow said, I did not eat, therefore the parrot shall not eat. And the parrot said, you know, I really don't appreciate that talking sparrow horning in on my act. If a parrot says, Polly want a cracker, Polly does not need a cracker. What Polly needs is a lesson in remedial grammar. It's the quiet ones who do all the work. And if only we could get them to do it for nothing, we'd have it made. I know a man who had the weight of the world on his shoulders, and his head was completely crushed. If you get your opinions from talking to the man in the street, you will both be flattened by large automobiles. The man who was born under a lucky star felt especially lucky once they pried it off of him. He who dies with the best Toyotas wins. You can't have everything. Where would you store it? And finally, some have said that man is the only animal who thinks, the only animal who laughs, the only animal who weeps. I say, Man is the only animal who compiles these inane lists of what man is the only animal to do. I'm the wrong hero. Thank you all very much.
Francis DiMenno, the wrong hero. Next reader shall be Jim Rader. Jim?
These lights or something. Yeah, I heard a definite Louis Zukovsky influence there, Francis. And a little bit of Stephen Mallarmé and Lee's work. With some serious Elizabeth Bishop undertones, but
Hey, I studied under her.
so
Nice compliment.
following in the footsteps. I'm going to be doing a feature here in 2 weeks, and I'd like to thank Jack for that. Sort of came out of the blue. I haven't been hanging out here in a long time. Because I've mostly been doing music for the last few years, but I still write poetry, and sometimes I read my poetry around the folk acoustic open mics. This is something I wrote about a year ago. It's a prose poem, and this is about these 2 crazy women I was hanging around with. I used to go to these parties in Gloucester at this place called Art Space. And so this is all kind of, surreal metaphor for these events, but in spirit, it's not really that much different from what actually happened. In fact, it's a little more normal. And this is called, And the Mice Took Over the Moon. Subtle antics prowl as Queen Saenz crown of sheer webs deflates at the last ball. Will you please shut up, thanks. The last ball is thrown in the last hall and goes on forever or until the floorboards warp from spilled sweat and can away. Queen Saenz is crying into a yellow plastic slipper held before her raccoon eyeballs in the palm of her hand. A veneer of false advertising flickers from the roaring 20s strobosphere. Kindly as a walk-on in a silent movie, Chester strolls up to her. In his best Walt Disney voice, he inquires, Do you know the way to San Jose? I know where I'm going, out of my head and onto yours. Crack goes the yellow plastic slipper over Chester's matted skull. 28 pet spiders crawl under his shaggy carcass and schlep him out of the ballroom with tinkly footsteps. Jackson Fruit Bat, King Coconut, Princess Juanita, Slick Davy, and Sister Cucumber do a bastard Charleston. Jackson's fez falls off and the fuzz busts in and bust him for being uncool. Put the bracelets on him, says one fuzz. Why, they're beautiful, says Jackson, pursing his lips like Rudy Valley discovering rock and roll. And Slick Davy shakes my hand and grins. What's that for, I inquire. Why, that's for keeping an eye on my girl for me. And King Coconut taps me on the shoulder. I turn around and he gives me an Oscar once owned by Jack Palance. What's this for, I inquire. I hate you, he says. And Sister Cucumber takes the stage, running a house band called I'll Cry Tomorrow. And Juanita watches the show, tapping her index finger on her triangular chin. Slick Davy and me hold hands like Boy Scouts and approach her. What are you thinking, we inquire in unison. I don't think, she admonishes. I respond. And I'll Cry Tomorrow, sings Sister Cucumber, crisscrossing her pink satin opera glove arms over her collarbone. We all dance. It's hard to tell whom is dancing with whom, or who is thinking while they're dancing, which ain't allowed. And Queen Saenz sneaks up behind me and lectures me on power. Hiss, hiss. And rain breaks in through the roof that is badly in need of repairs. And I dance, and I'm not dancing with a Juanita or Queen or Davy or Jackson or nobody really. I'm not dancing with myself neither. It's hard to tell what is on their minds. It's hard to tell if they're following the rules. No one hired me to do that. And like all good children, I'm lost. Thank you.
All right.
Jim will be here as a feature in 2 weeks. Now, Chief Autumn Tree.
cleaning the old state house. Yeah, that old ship.
Chestnut. I like it. Chestnut.
Thank you, Dan. Early Sunday morning, Graham and me walking down streets that were still asleep. The squeaky cry of trolley wheels. Leechmere Station. 4 stops we're here. Scully Square. Breakfast at the pewter pot. Strawberry pancakes, blonde coffee. From Graham's apron pocket came keys, unlocking the old state house door. Once inside, daylight disappeared. Musty, damp, the smell of pine, soft torn rags, dusting dark wood, encased in glass, streak-free shine, we the people, words written in the past. In room after room, we cleaned history, leaving our footsteps behind, echoes lost in time. Sewer monster. There's monsters in the sewers. Every kid knows that. They swallow rubber balls. One gulp, they're gone. Pink ones, the color of school erasers. White, pimple-faced. Yellow tennis, fuzzy peach. Around the monster's mouth we sat, ice cream sticks in hands, scraping away the black muck. Standing we gripped, slowly moving the gaping grid. Rubber balls all inside the monster's belly, oozing with mud, slimy blue sludge. The smell of hell hits our senses. Someone small had to enter into the stench. As if the monster had the hiccups, high flying rubber balls, hiding in summer shirts, hoping our mothers forgot how to sniff. Slimy blue sludge, oozing with mud, all inside a shiny sink. Thank you.
All right, woo!
Chief Autumn Tree. Now, Chris Robbins.
I've got a work in progress about a little sci-fi piece, this little sci-fi bit of science fiction about a time traveler undergoing a nervous breakdown. So a little piece, a little bit of what I got so far. Day 21. My comrade and I exploring the prehistoric jungles of the Jurassic Age. I watched helplessly as my comrade was obliterated, crushed by the careless left foot of a Brontofucking-saurus. Guess who had to materialize a body bag to pick up the remains and avoid leaving anachronistic traces? And guess who had to restrain himself from also materializing a goddamn elephant gun to use a retaliation? Otherwise, I would defeated my purpose and violated the timeline. Speaking of which, day 22, I land in a city called Eichmannberg in April of '92. I see the town park littered with guard towers. In the park, I saw a father in full swastika uniform whack his 5-year-old son across the head because the child apparently wrote something with the word love in it on a piece of paper. I heard the father shout at his cowering son, Good Aryan boys, don't waste their energy on words. Stop acting like a freeloading yellow star. Right over there, that's all the poetry a good Aryan needs." Pointing to a hideous gray statue of a jut-jawed workman wielding a sledgehammer in his right hand and a saw in his left. The slogan on the statue's base read, "Perish forever in fire and thunder, but never let your job go asunder." As soon as I saw the swastikas bordering the slogan, I knew what went wrong. Riding the winds of time back to the England of 1941, the site of my assignment on day 20, I pulled the hoses and the battery wires of a truck belonging to a secret German agent, a truck full of explosives that my partner and I unwittingly fixed, thereby preventing the agent from reaching the Royal Air Force Base and allowing the Royal Air Force to launch their radar idea on its maiden flight, thereby cleaning up the mess we had made earlier. Day 23. I returned to the same time place I returned to the same time, place, and spot as on the previous day. Now that Eichmannberg had regained its proper name, Los Angeles, I set off to investigate the urban wars of that period. Day 24. My next assignment landed me in the Britain of 1200 AD. The days of knights and chivalry. Chivalry my ass. I set out to apprehend a fellow explorer turned renegade and got thrown into a dark stone-cold dungeon myself when I fell into suspicion for being a full head taller and a poor student of Middle English. Keep in mind that people during the medieval period didn't grow to much more than 4 foot thereabouts. They didn't have the nutrients that we have today. Okay. Fortunately, the royal soldiers condemned the renegade as a witch, quote unquote, before he could introduce submachine guns to the king's army. Oh, thank God they took that assignment out of my hands. I wasn't about to wait around 400 years for somebody to piece together a dictionary. And that's pretty much what I got so far. And that's our last visit for a while. Okay, because I'm hosting monologues, folks saying Angie and that. Sorry, guys. And it's the last visit for a while, and I'll hope you're back soon. Have a good one. I'm spending my energies on monologues. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Chris Robbins, thank you. Diana Saenz?
The drinker. She misses the last call and begs the bartender for another glass. Every bar she goes to, she is the same. She knows him and his friends by name. The bartender wants to take himself into his car, unto his house. He's feeling independent. His joints ache. He's ailing, but not void of humor. Humor of a wound when it bites and tells the truth, and looks into the hollow tooth and fills the glass with rough and ruth. He crosses the room, dangling the bottle of Chardonnay by its graceful neck. Not the subtle, arrogant herbal nosegay the French have stolen from the cowboys, but the tart, sandy soil, genuine, cheap Napa Sonoma Mendocino Chardonnay. The bartender smiles, tired, wishing sleep, and says, "I wouldn't keep you from your lifeblood." And from the neck of that glass, green mint, pours the once innocent grape. Indeed, her lifeblood is not red, but a glaucous 12.5%, clear as gumption, clear as underfed, clear as spring past the wintry eye, clear as hungry man's water, clear as allure and rue and rye. Her smile is fixed and vague and lonely. She has covered her left and right with men, flirtatious, spirited, and heartbroken only by the way they come and leave again. She steers the talk and talks sheet empty, but rarely waits for the glass to empty before she calls for another pour, and tips she gently and sips she heartsore, till the hour swerves to the moonlit spread, and creeps she warmly up her street, with steadying hands she to her bed, and slips she loathing to that sleep. One more poem, one short poem. This love. In the last hollow we admitted a weakness for the other that maybe comes from the sweet tooth of sex love. The days reluctantly moved towards spring. Cardinals who had laughed at the winter flight south did not return about the time they finally got their song right. Lost the indifferent power of breath. The sun reflecting the ocean turquoise, the ocean of jellyfish and anglers, the ocean of our mother punctured by those Icarus birds of blood-fat wings. Their minds are singled out in my mind, gracing their mortal bodies as scabrous, sooted angels in search of warmth, astonished to the point of fear. With victory beneath their curled feet and shimmering Excalibur fish in their beaks, rendered unconscious by the insistent hunt, with moments of truth in the sweet tooth. Thank you.
And the Saenz. Better don your safety glasses. It's a short attention span. Poet.
Another one mental case! S.A.S.P for president! What Apollo are you on?
Sunday. Ordering a friendly sundae, Vienna mocha chunk. Waitress inquires, regular or super size? I reply, I'm a pig in disguise. Make it a super size. One day at the cricket match, refreshment stand attendant calls out, next please. Super secret agent steps up saying, 2 frankfurters please. Boiled, not steamed. Into the 90s bonding. Congratulations on your promotion to M, Miss Moneypenny. That's why we wear safety glasses. Chicken hawk eyes. I am evil, searching for salvation, looking for an unbroken pretzel. Church basement meeting. Sleepless nights, delirium tremor dreamscapes. Hot sweat, dark terrified waking, telling her tale with Irish coffee breath. I could see her take 1 step forward and fall 2 steps back. She's got double A eyes. She's got double A eyes. Thank you very much. I'm most sincerely want to sincerely sorry for the passing of Boston poet. The Boston poet is dead. Long live Boston poet. Thank you. Fried chicken sandwich. Thank you.
After short attention span, we're proud to present Joanna Nealor.
Joanna!
Hi, I haven't been here for some time, and I missed you guys.
We always adore you.
I bet you didn't miss me, though.
No.
Tonight I have 3 short poems on the theme of departure. Going places. There are more ways to leave than by the door. There is the sky, vast galleries of memory and dream through which to fly. Or one can crouch in that small, unseen room behind the sigh. Or go to holy places in the soul where passions die. More ways indeed to leave than by the door, without goodbye. And this one's called Getaway. Out from under. Don't shout, just choose. Scared, but wearing your own face. You're standing now, stepping into your shoes, and you're running like hell, heart full of thunder, towards your own space. Woo! And then this last is a gentle getaway. From spring into summer. The urge to lose self, to rise, diffuse, escape like a sigh towards far periphery. I put to bed on a worn shelf my winter muse, and head for the sky and silver reverie. Mother of pearl moon welcomes me home, her water silk beams blurring my memory, and mild indulgent sun at noon sends me a poem repaying in dreams the winter's penury. First of God's reprieves from grief and cold, spring tints hint of sleep and deeper greenery, until the sky alive with leaves and blinding gold lets my spirit steep in cosmic scenery.
Joanna Nealor. Thank you so much, Joanna. Our next reader will be Marc Goldfinger.
Marc! Eagle Freaks Unite!
I just want to give a quick plug for the Boston Poet. This is the death issue, the final issue. Maybe, maybe not. Will there be a resurrection? A born again? The copies are at the door. Okay, they're $1, cheap, good poetry. Now I have to change. So I'm going to do one piece. Passengers. The sky would holler with the thunder of their wings, and their bodies would bring night to the grass fields that we were laying on. They would come over the rise like a whale cutting through the blue of the air, and I would swear that they would push the clouds aside like the prow of a giant living ship of flesh and feathers. I would lean back and roll a smoke from the damp tobacco as they come over me. Your daddy Jake could have me roll him one too, 'cause he was none too good at making his own. And we'd lay back and blow smoke into the shadows of their wings. By the time we finished the smokes, both ends of the sky would be filled with them. And if you didn't know what the sky looked like, you'd have to say that it was made out of birds. The sound of them, the beating of the wings, them calling to each other in that strange kind of cry would make me dream as I just laid back for the whole afternoon and watched them come and come and come. My papa told me one day as he was setting up the Gatling guns around the trees that one flock of them stretched from the hills of Franconia, New Hampshire to the flatlands of Boston, over 150
50 miles long, and in the center of it, there wasn't no sky to be seen. They funneled down into town like a darn tornado, and the grove of trees was full of them. I'd walk through the grove with Pa as him and the others was checking and loading up, and now and then one of them would bust loose into the air, but most of them just sat still and shifted around and making that coo, coo, coo sound. The branches would bend with the weight of them. I gotta tell ya, the whole town had come out, and everybody bring their shotguns, handguns, rifles, even bow and arrows. It had always seemed to get real quiet. Only the sound of feathers shifting and the breath of everything would be moving through the air like it was filled with God. The breath of the birds mixed with ours. Then the Gatling guns would start to chatter, and everybody'd start a shooting. It'd take days to clean up the dead birds from the fields. One day, they just stopped coming. I heard there ain't no more of them left. There used to be so many of them, too. Passenger pigeons. That's what they called them. Hard to believe they're all gone, huh? Me and your Pa, we used to lay back and watch them fill the sky.
Thank you very much.
Marc, Goldfinger. Now, Christopher Stuli Ashagra.
I got a new little song here that I'm going to do for you tonight. Just 8 lines. I'm going to do it 3 times and over. But first, I want to add my little contribution. The final issue. Boston Poet, which is mine. It's not in there because I wrote it Friday. All right. This is untitled. Can you guys hear me? How you doing?
Yeah, we can hear you, but get close to the microphone.
Okay, it's called Living. It's untitled. I'm sorry. Living the undeniable. Living the unavoidable, addiction, dying, the only ally and friend when it comes to rights given by nature. The sole footsteps of life, each one chosen, a crossroad of seeming, choiceless, unmeasurable decisions. Where will alone stands face to face as the final mirror to the self, and has no room left to lie except as consciousness. This little ditty is called The Love. Feel free to join in if you want to. in you. Keep your mind on the little things you do. Hear your heart when it sounds like something's true. Drop your guard when it's not protecting you. Understand you don't know when you thought you did. And bring on home the love you find in you.
CC Ashagra. Next shall be Dan Luft.
Super sneakers, man.
I got two. I'm going to read one and then I'm going to read the other.
In that order?
Yep, in that order. Going to do something different tonight. I'm going to read them one right after the other. Okay, when I was a kid, my sister had a book called The Bobbsey Twins at the Seashore. Maybe some of you have read that, I'm not sure. I know it was a reference in a Bullwinkle cartoon once. But, so I wrote this short little poem. It's called Apollinaire at the Seashore. About a writer I really dig, Apollinaire. Walking on the beach, he continued to speak in pictures, letters from his mouth down shoulders to fingertips, a spool of cashmere yarns, bowler in hand, ear cocked towards whales' conversation, thread from the bottom burrowing into the sand, digging for clams, seashells, driftwood, other shapes. And sorry for the short poems. And I wrote this after I looked at my yearbook for the first time in like 10 years. This is called Leaving Home Uphill. We lay our alibis at the foot of the stairs before climbing to safety, while bombers above us drop stars onto the enemy evening. Forgotten faces and situations in which occurred, mannerisms and demeanor gone forever, wireframe glasses, spirograph textbooks, little yellow pills dampened in palms, all slurred memories ending in ellipsis. Tonight behind us, cities are growing as fireflies out of skull-wet wood. Thank you.
Dan Luft. Our next reader will be doing kind of a featurette. Let's have a hand for Adnan Onart.
A Bulgarian movie with Japanese subtitles. This is a poem I wrote for Onart Kutlar. Onart Kutlar was a novelist who was killed recently in a bomb explosion in Istanbul, Turkey. He was the founder of the Turkish cine club, Cinematheque, and he used to say a real movie lover would watch a Bulgarian movie with Japanese subtitles and enjoy it. So as college kids, we used to go to Cinematheque and we thought we enjoyed those movies. A Bulgarian movie with Japanese subtitles. This is what I am saying to myself. I must be in Istanbul in a cheap eatery. I must be having chicken soup or pilau and yogurt. I must be surrounded by my friends discussing the role of Karagöz, the shadow theater in Ottoman society, or the last movie at the Cinematheque, the Bulgarian movie with Japanese subtitles. Skipping to school may not be the best idea. Exactly this is what we must be doing. But I am just in Boston in an ice cream parlor. Evidently, I must have skipped the work. I am having frozen yogurt, a dessert pretending to be ice cream, surrounded by people apparently who are not there. All of a sudden, some nurses storm in. They bully me to an armchair, almost with force. This must be a terrible mistake. Immediately, the drill starts its work with its nagging voice, that warm wetness in my mouth. It is very strange, though. My back caresses the armchair's rubber face. I keep my eyes closed. It is embarrassing to confess. The pain invades my whole body and it feels so good. According to the Turkish secret police, Onart Kutlar was killed by Kurdish terrorists. And this is a poem I wrote in remembrance of Kurdish workers. I used to hear singing from the windows of my parents' house. And one of my uncles-in-law happened to be Kurdish. This is also in his memory. Darkness of the night. So angry is my aunt. Animals are discouraged, not civilized as we Tatars, she says. They even have tails. My uncle-in-law explains, I had scored the highest grade, but they did not let me in to your high school. There was nothing wrong with my high school, but I did not learn to speak any foreign language. My uncle-in-law is a minister of some kind, minister of energy, and I am so young. I do not know why, he says. I do not know why. He knows very well why. Working on my French composition, overhearing my mother whisper. His father was executed right after the rebellion. I do not know which rebellion, of course. We are not poor anymore, just moved to a middle-class neighborhood, still under construction yet. I can hear from distance the Kurdish workers sing. I cannot see their campfire, so dark is the night. This poem should go to the receptionist, Martha Young, at the office I work. The title is Workplace as Hell. Good morning, says the receptionist. Workplace is a prison. We get into our cells, one by one. No reason to lock the doors. Good morning. Workplace is the Grand Bazaar. We sell many sort of things in our tiny stores. Some are pens, some holes in the punch cards, some electrical signals, some connectivity among men. Good morning. Workplace is the wind. It lifts us up. It adds us to each other. It augments us. 1984, year without after. The hospitals are designed to kill people without their clothes and dignity. Offices are works of art for improductivity. They are prisons, moreover, with utmost efficiency, lean and mean. The inmate and the warden, the torturer and the victim are one and the same. Arbeit macht frei, Heil Hitler. Mental clinics spread perfectly all forms of human insanity. Schools, elementary, junior, senior high, colleges, the graduate programs do an excellent job in destroying the learning minds. Human mind learns only when the trouble is real or when it is inundated with fellowship of understanding. None of this is permitted in learning organizations. I'm sorry, I meant in learning institutions. In never-ending 1984, Telefonica raised the voice. The meaning is filtered out. The workflow breaks the workflow. This was a poem I read in a conference related to workflow. For that reason, the reference to workflow. The last poem I would like to read is entitled Sorge, Angst und Linguistik. At high school, I was part of the literary club, and we organized conferences or poetry days and so on. But the major problem was not to have enough audience. And to compensate for this, we used to mobilize the janitorial services of the high school, and those men came and sat and listened to our nonsense without any sigh or yawning. So this is a poem dedicated to their memory. Sorge, Angst und Linguistik. The real meaning emerges with the demise of significance. The deconstructive syntax leads to the reconstruction of the poetical semantics. Literary Club is the organizer of the conference in an all-boys boarding school. The subject, conceptual absurd in the Turkish contemporary poetry. The front seats are reserved to the art lovers from Notre Dame de Sion, our sister high school. Blondes, brunettes, devastating legs. At the back are the janitorial services, heavy-built men from remote Anatolian villages. Empty is the whole place. What a shame for invited speakers. Please, please, this is not the time to be at ease. The senseless pragmatics of existence constitutes the mortal intimacy. Anxiety and care fluctuate beside anticipation toward l'instant fatal. Thank you, gentle souls, pretending to listen without a yawn, not even a sigh. My best regards to you. Thank you.
Adnan Onart will be featured here, one of the features for July 1st, which will, as the time we'll be celebrating the 220th anniversary of the United States of America in a variety of, while holding up the diamond as it will be, to shafts of light in different directions. We expect Gary Hicks and other folks to add to that interesting melange. At this time, I'd like to invite up Jacques Palmer Fritz to this particular assemblage here, which we call the Poets Cafe or some other things tonight. Short Attention Span is going to host Juna Barnes, and we'd hoped to have Edna St. Vincent Millay. I don't think she's here yet. If she does show up, she's welcome to the stage. And Jack Kerouac couldn't make it, and I think that someone's going to the Tennessee Williams for a couple of pieces. Palmer Fritz, where are you?
Keep your pants on, you silly boy. You may be power of good time in Our stage crew has run off on us. No, you sit over here.
All right. The mobile unit is now on the air. This is W.S.S.P. Poets Radio Cafe. We're on the air, broadcasting live from the ether, time tripping across the universe, picking up all sorts of crazy cats from all different writing styles. Tonight we have Juanita Burns, a poet extraordinaire from New York, Paris, and the world. And of course, Tennessee Williams, a playwright and a poet, and someone that is just incredibly groovy. And tonight is a celebration of dead poets and writers, brought to you by St. David's Stationery Supplies. You've tried the rest, now shop the blessed. And also Boston Poet. Filled with all incredible, crazy English poets. And now, back to our show, we have Joanna Burns and Tennessee Williams. And I see that Joanna Burns must be into the French wine. We have also brought back a very good year. Tennessee Williams, please, where are you from? What have you done these days?
Sure, and lately I've been, a little drunk. A lot of beignets, some coffee, but not much writing, to be honest with you. And, it's just
So
a
you
few
must
things
have-
I did that I can't look up to anymore, miscegenation, etc. I mean, there's a lot of things I've dealt with. And I mean, you know what the New York, Time Magazine, they reviewed 29 of my plays, and they gave everyone a pen. And then they called me America's greatest living dramatist and put me on the front cover. I can't figure that out.
Well, I do not understand this.
it's
Could you
drunk
give us a sampling of this award-winning and just incredible time piece? Do you have just something that you can, you have written if you haven't written it?
Well, I wrote this before. I'm not
You
really
may
writing now.
hit us with your brilliance. I'm sure all our listeners out there are on the edge of their seat saying, who is this Tennessee Williams? What is his writing style? Please tell us, Tennessee.
This is from Battle of the Angels. Battle of the Angels. Listen. Most people don't expect nothing important to come into them. They just expect to get up early, plow, rest, go trick-legging, go back to bed. They never look up at the sky dark or with stars, or blazing yellow with sunlight, and ask, why? 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 Now, that was the first word I learned to spell out at school, and I expected some answer. I felt there was something secret that I would find out, and would all make sense. It would come into me, through my eyes, see, through my ears, through my skin, like a net, see? If you don't spread it out, you won't catch nothing in it. But if you do, you might.
It's a very, very heavy piece. And I can see why you've been drinking a lot. I think I'll go out and get myself a little bit of wine after that. Would anybody like some?
Yes!
Now, Joanna Barnes, we know you're from New York. What brought you to Paris, where I stumbled upon you in a cafe? Food?
Food.
I see. And do you like food?
Doesn't everybody?
And do you just, have you just come here to learn to cook or eat the food, or perhaps something more French?
Maybe some of that French cooking, eh? Want a cream-filled French cruller?
Why not?
Oh, right. But anyway, do you have a sampling of your writing style? Because we heard it was quite nice and quite cutting edge for Paris of 1923. Studio difficulties here. Please stand by. A 1, 2.
The importance of a character. In the narrow iron bed with its heavy and dirty linen sheets lay the doctor in a woman's flannel nightgown. The doctor's head with its large, over black eyes, full gunmetal cheeks and chin, was framed in the golden semicircle of a wig with long pendant curls falling from its shoulders to the below, turned up the shadowy interior of the cylinders. His face was heavily rouged and his eyelashes were painted.
Wow.
Sounds quite once again, if you thought that this was a porno radio station, no, this is WSSP, Poets Radio Cafe. And tonight we are celebrating dead poets and writers. Brought to you by St. David's Stationery Supplies, makers of the double-edged pen. Dull, sharp, and extra cutting. And I know that Monsieur Tennessee Williams has shopped at these particular abodes. Now, have you tried our sponsors' supplies, St. David's pens?
Unlikely. No, typewriter.
I see, so you're more of an automatic man.
Pen's old, old.
Do you have an electric?
No.
I see, so you must be then illiterate of computers. Could you tell us, please share some more of this with the typewritten word that you are just have no time to take the time to make beautiful words by hand. You must use a machine. Just show us how beautiful these words are.
Machines define us, you see. But this Lonesome Traveler, this is Val and Lady. You might think there's many and many kinds of people in this world, but lady, there's only 2 kinds of people. The ones that are bought and the buyers. No, there's one other kind. The kind that's never been branded. You will be man, says Lady. Val, gotta catch me first. Well, then you better not settle down in the country. Val, there's a kind of bird that don't have legs, so it can't light on nothing. Has to stay all its life in the wings in the sky. You can't tell these birds from the sky, and that's why the hawks don't catch them up there in the high blue sky near the sun. They live their whole lives on the wing, and they sleep on the wind. And they just spread their wings, go to sleep on the wind, like other birds fold their wings and go to sleep in a tree. They sleep in the wind and never light down on earth, but one time when they die. Lady says, I'd like to be one of those birds. Val says, so I'd like to be one of those birds. Lots of people like to be one of those birds.
That explains a lot of the bird-shaped clouds over here when you're lying on your bed. And
philosophy, man, philosophy.
There are a lot of poems in the clouds. Joanna Barnes, have you ever written poems about clouds with a St. David line of pens? They've been around for many millennia. They began with quills.
Well, I'm an ink person myself. It's in my blood.
Chunky right there.
Yeah.
Would you like to share some of these words of junk to our listening audience who is listening worldwide and on Cambridge Cable?
Junk?
Please bless us with your words.
Our bones ache only while the flesh is stretched upon them. It is a thin line as the temple flesh of an alien woman, and still it serves to ache the bone and to move the bone about. And in like manner, the night is a skin pulled over the head of the day, that the day may be in a torment. We will find no comfort until the night melts away.
And I heard that you two were planning on doing a duet together, melding your words and her words and doing a duet. Is this true, or is it just some fart in the wind?
In the wind.
You hear so much when you're tripping around the ether. In fact, now we've really got the Timothy Leary tripping around the ether.
You know, you have to realize Big Daddy kills all of us. Killed me, you know that.
That's true, but we saved you from the grips of death, and you have a...
I'm going to do a prayer for you guys.
Say it.
God bless all the cats without pads in the plaza tonight. God bless all con men and hustlers and pitchmen who hawk their hearts in the street. All two-time losers who are likely to lose once more. The courtesan who made the mistake of love. The poet who wandered far from his heart's green country and possibly will and possibly won't be able to find his way back. Look down with a smile tonight on the last cavaliers, the ones with rusty armor and soiled white plumes. Visit with understanding and something that's almost tender, those fading legends that come and go in the plaza like songs not clearly remembered. And sometime and somewhere, let there be something to mean to the word honor again. Amen.
Amen, brother. Amen. Joanna Barnes, you have time for just one more. If you'd like to share some more, if you'd care to tell something about your life, like what was it for you to be in Paris, in New York?
Same.
I see. So some of these words will be the same that you have used before in the other piece. But share them with us, please.
Yeah, used words.
I feel so dirty.
Don't. Because I don't. The very construction of twilight is a fabulous reconstruction of fear. Fear bottom out and wrong side up. Every day is thought upon and calculated, but the night is not premeditated. The Bible lies the one way, but the nightgown the other. The night, beware of the dark door.
Amen, please Tennessee, that's right. Tonight in the WSSP's Poets Radio Cafe, we had the Tennessee Williams and Joanna Barnes reading from their works. And the show is dedicated to all the dead poets and the final issue of Boston Poet, which is filled with poets who are not dead, such as C.D. Collins, Marston White, and Laurence Carradini. Very nice man, but his poetry is very boring. And so we're also brought to you by St. David's Stationery Supplies, makers of fine, always erasable paper and correctable ink, and never mistake typewriters. You've tried the rest, now shop the blessed. St. David's Stationery Supplies. And now WSSP Poets Radio Cafe is off the air. Hello to Jack Carls, Tennessee Williams, Donovan Crowell, Joanna Barnes, and Marc, the short attention span poet is Joaquin Palmfrey. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're going to take a very short break, 5 minutes, and we'll be back. If Sherry is here, please go to the entry. Someone's waiting for you. Sherry, please go to the entry. Thank you. Pleasure to welcome you here again to TT the Bear's Place, Monday nights, Stone Soup Poets. I want to say hello to folks that watch this show on Cambridge Cable Thursday nights, Channel 19 at 9 o'clock, and tonight on Somerville Cable at 11 to 1 a.m. to our show. And thanks both organizations for hanging in with us these 11 years. It's a pleasure now to invite you to attend a specific couple of feature readers. And these are people who have read with us in the past, and we thought it would be great to share more time than the 4 or 5 minutes that the open readings get. So let's have a hand now for someone we really respect as a writer in person, Matt Boston. Let's have a hand for Matt.
Hi, I will read tonight a selection of my favorite poetry. I've read all these before here, but then a number of friends from work in the audience who have never heard me read before, so that explains why I'm slightly nervous, perhaps. I'll start with a segment of heavy-duty poetry, a sort of discovery and despair, followed by poems on the theme of perhaps search, and finally some lighter material. At night, sunsets unnoticed, orange yellow streaks glaring round corners vanish unseen, giving way to long black shadows, and the dim lights wave to stone gloomy blocks in the city at night. And the lion yawns at night. Shutters rattle, TVs flicker, doors are crashing, traffic dejammed, cooking a mess, days a waste, oh come on to bed. Meanwhile, exhausted women inch up the stairs, and all the tired workers hum humbly home as flats and houses all over the town, in secluded, slow meditation, sink asleep silently at night. And the mouse nibbles the cheese at night. Moonshine red, hollow-faced, all in black, tall creatures ghost the neon streets. Laughter echoes, limousines hover. Evening society show, champagne fountains flow, the music splashes. Puffing cigars and club-tied inhaling perfume odors. An opposition, politician, gentleman and humanized spouts out lover topics, while opera stars sing and romantic couples glide across the golden ballroom floor smoothly at night. And the cat entertains the mouse at night. Wrecked at the bar, full to the top, background bawling bastards, ragged blasting boxes, and foggy rooms we saw the smoke in her tearing eyes. Grinning waiters, swallowing machines, giggling corner girls gravitate to me. Stammer the words, grease trip your stomach, booze to death, vomit your way to Wonderland. People enjoy themselves at night. Buried beneath books, the eternal student coughs the way to dusty death. Outside, it's raining cash into pockets big, the doctor swims to rescue. A sales manager is mumbling numbers, peeping through the windows, waiting for a customer. Pay your path to paradise. Test tubes bubble in laboratories, robots working overtime in factories. Computerized technology bites redundant humans. Industry as it's priced at night. And the squirrel dreams nuts at night. Burglars busy, come quick and police my room. Cars are screeching while husbands lie and grannies die and babies cry. Ego and rage, explode my friend, knock down your wife, scream out your lungs, maniac the streets. Surprise girls are de-virginized in dark parks, things happen at night. And the glowworms raise the sky at night. Lonely sleepless sobbing, waiting for a phone call, never coming. Drug yourself, the fantasy. Smile at your TV set. Escape into nothingness. A depressed individual, dark under the eyes, on the second floor, swinging freely, hanging happy, string supported. Ever so pleasing, thoughts crush the mind in pain. Listen to the music of your soul while your heart slows down and you lose the game at night. And many a solemn fish float in the ocean at night. Families in harmony, snoozing in rest peacefully, closely huddled couples, soundless whispers, mouth incredible secrets. I can read your mind, like to be your body and beautify the universe, being myself, plunge into dreams, so glad I forgot the future. Close your eyes and sleep in peace at night. And hedgehogs copulate at night. The houses are silent, the streets empty, half the world is fast asleep, as our life and time race on, like screaming children, down the sunny garden path, we are snoozing on a precious particle of dust, drifting fast through the vast cold of this, the universe, at night. And suns are born at night. That was from about 10 years ago. This is also quite an old one. The best friend from Cambridge is here, so you might have the same feelings about our first year as students there. Consider Cambridge growing. Stroke in 6, nebulous between banks unseen. I sit in the middle, a dream come true. Freezing waters splashing by, and gasp and spasmed how to catch on time the biting air. Things he cannot do. Stroke. Plug out your heart and drown in shame. In the fog somewhere, commands are whispered. He doesn't understand, but jangle in their ears somehow forever. Stroke bow. Boggle her mind. Megaphone voices mingle in the distance, where, synchronized with creaking oars, very strange and blurred bright of shadows gaping wide. Stroke, cracking their bones, and he sees the backs of those. No one knows another. Names he can't remember, running their lance into his spine. Who, and vanishing lightly. Firm pressure. 1, life is loneliness. 2, to wander round invisible. 3, bash out the light. 4, sad to see her fade away. 5, go somewhere she. 6, cannot see her destiny. 7, 8, nobody knows and they remember. 9, to be on time when there's no one who will follow her to do what's to be done. 10, alone. Single strokes. Dewdrops blind my eyes to chase ideals. Seen the dark side, we're certain it must be real. Let's have a nightmare. This is a confused account. Stroke. Moisture looming low infects the soul. What? And stops my breathing to gobble down the sweat and spit out the blood. Stroke. Drill on his nerves and grind for the skull. Freezing waters gurgle by. Not really is nearly drifting through the white walls. She long forgot. Lie the mist, tired ghost. Be ready in time to stroke. Blades are slicing through the water, with the pale moon lurking down, bracing just as are we, together in a boat fatigued, and yet everyone is on his own, in dreaded mist, to stroke one time, alone. The last longer one. Bloody incidents in progress. We have splashed into the light, like some tomatoes squashed, dripping crimson on the skin, screaming out our lungs. Our mothers are going back to cycling pains, back to rising moons again. Every month a few red drops lob worldwide into toilet pots. And young girls bleed when having sex. I guess it's breaking down some barriers, break meaning danger, that understood, and that there were laws to the art of love, but at dimension, claws or teeth. Hey, my blood is mine, and yours is yours. Disregarding vampire starch, we shouldn't mix, not even socially. To suck blood means you're the blood in today's society, HIV and other crap. But in the back room of some bar down in Nicaragua, they had it. Blood for sale. Now that's a special juice, flows around your body's tubes. We just harvest, said the little girl, as honey leaks into flower cups. Have some, on the rocks, it's on the house. Now, there's something holy about this liquid, draining into unknown vaults. Just imagine your heart confined like dreaded ketchup in a bottle. And your final days are lost because of rust. Whose blood is this? Black engine oils crusting up, old machinery coming stuck. A single cut relieves and fiery discs fly by, rush out the veins towards the sky, run along the tabletop and swamp the floor. Yuck, we've heard of this before, 20 different ways to die, all involving blood. Like when your wandering eye turned around to catch a glimpse of the bullet shine, ripping quietly through your heart, leaving a big red splotch behind in everybody's mind, just as bad as JFK's. Really, I can't see much, but I live in fear of glass, of pins and needles, scissors and big knives, and of the razor blades which daily scrape across my skin. Once in a while, I see red lines surface in the mirror's foam, and the water stings my face, turning sort of pink. Seeing red makes me all woozy, reminds me of the ER in the hospital. I was waiting by the door. It suddenly went whoosh, and all got wet and red. Someone came running in without a head. Then there was the guy they were scraping off the stony ground. And the sea of red was there again, neatly parted on the pavement. It just wasn't very clear. Had he been jumping off the 13th floor, or was he motor mangled like a cat? Well, the bones were bigger apart from that. And somehow, when I think like this, I'm overcome with fear of another bloody incident occurring just now, right here. So that was the heavy duty stuff. Now to perhaps search poems. Various kind. Apparition dans le métro de Paris. The IPT pulls onwards. Our minute stops after minute stops. Doors open, corners closed. Time to stand still in these vacant spaces are lonely places with empty stairs. We slip a peek at each other's faces, bored, dead, and presently ignored. Vacant spaces, empty stairs, all wrapped up in their own affairs, lost on rails, moving just from A to B. Their IPT rolls onwards. Then it hits me like a summer's rain. I found you, here and now. My goddess has appeared in the Paris underground. Oh, you're so beautiful, it blinds me. I feel like crying, laughing, kissing, but stand here, flesh frozen like a fish. With the train rattling on, my mind is set as sparking, building tunnels to squeeze through to you. My eyes draw in your scent. What will I say? Beaming, Mona Lisa strange, you glance at me, get out, and smile bemused. Got out? Ah no! Windows pushed past fast. Brief metro love. Goodbye. The IPT rolls onwards. Right, this short one. Where are you? Where are you? Why can I find you not today? How will I know my destiny unfolding in your eyes when I see them for the first time? I miss you so much. It's the sadness not to share and the madness not to understand this part of our lives. Like my tears, the years are tumbling by and by and by. Hello, goodbye. Hello, goodbye. Hello, where are you? This was written after a visit to China in 1992. Night by Guilin Lake. Now you live in mud huts, dark and cold, thanks to labor, relocation. Water comes in buckets and steady steps over rice fields, which you tend backbent, wearing China hats. In the morning, you balance on your bamboo boat and pick the river weed, or wash your long dark hair, glistening in ripple waves. In the afternoon, you collect silk cocoons with eyes piercing the air. Your teeth shine white in your hello apple mouth. Your rosy-cheeked girl is smiling on your back. In the house you see him gambling with his shoddy overall friends, drawing his cigarette and or leisurely sip jam jar tea, staring into space like a broken man who sits in the street, pausing to repair a shoe. You remember your first date at Welcome Cafe by the lake. Romantic you danced to foreign music, sounds lost in the cloudless night, and the TV blared out propaganda news and showed you precinct beauty queens. With his savings, he hired the boat, and you placed a tiny kiss on his lips, sliding over waters beneath the moon. He told you he wanted you to bear his only son, and perhaps he could buy a washing machine next year on his holiday from stamping permits. And the stars twinkled down on your boat, rats were scared away, and his eyes told you he was your love. I haven't actually been on this date, but I wrote a poem about it anyway. This is called Date. You smiled like someone who does rarely yogurt eat, and said you were a Pepsi drinker, diet of course, and not a thinker. You acted out your life with paper cups, then took to breeding Indian slugs, organic, green and friendly, slithering over your knitwear chunky. So, your father was an Eskimo, and your lipstick-sick lips are from your mother? That's all another glass of wine. Food became your enemy, and Stairmaster's torture made you believe firm that your fat had disappeared all over from your body, except your chest-cemented breasts, fake, and from your underbelly, elastic and somehow misprogrammed. You're sure banana is fine? You aren't as kind, you said, and as men who are so strange, but I won't forget spaghetti sweat, the incredible smell of cheese, your fear of sex that made your bladder freeze, infatuation coffee times, like your paparazzi poetry, it made no sense to me. And I sat there wondering, what is all this fuss about? Now come some shorter pieces. Sick of rhymes. I'm sick of rhymes at the end of lines. Some like chimes, I don't. Sometimes I just write straight down what comes into my head and sort of created a form of instant poetry. I'll read some examples of these now. Instant poem number 2, The Passage of Time. I found a time difference between the study and my living room. By some quirk of relativity, when one clock reads 7, the other shows me 10 to 2. So I walk from room to room like a madman, getting younger every day. Instant poem number 5, Chain Smokers. Chain smokers get discounts at the checkout of life. Instant poem number 7, Love in the 20th century. Young woman in the pharmacy was standing by the condom store, and she was trying them all on for sensitivity. This is equally risky, perhaps. Instant poem number 12, Court TV. Where was your dick that day between the hours of 10 and 11? Well, it's usually in my head, I said, and sometimes it's in heaven. That's no good an explanation. We've got to have it here for cross-examination. Instant poem number 17, dubbed Conversation. I tried to explain to her for the 7th bloody time, but my lips, they didn't move to any of the words I had to say. In these situations, she always countered in a language no man can understand. It's like being part of a bad movie, I thought, all gone out of frame, desperately trying to remember the time before this babel happened to us. Damn that stupid slip of mine. Then suddenly, we smiled in synchrony. The last instant poem number 21, Noodles, or the simplest mistake. Opened pack at both ends, everything spilled out. Noodles invade the kitchen floor, big thick ones, fettuccinis, crunching on my carpets, spreading into living room, tumbling down the stairs. They run rampage, scrape through the city saucepans, killing cooks and their spaghetti, crossbreed in dark and hidden places. Some get wet, snaking in the sea, and string all the sailors up, capsizing ocean liners and making fish have indigestion. Mutants infest all continents, even airplanes are no longer safe, dough crusting on the fuselage. Half-cooked macaroni are sticking to the sky, blocking our sunlight out, about to populate the universe. The plants on my porch. Some people are afraid of plants. They cannot cope with the pressures of regular watering, cannot find the shapes of leaves to match their personalities, cannot see green, just black and white. Such problems I have none, because I'm into bonsai trees. My plants are proud and strong, get lots of shine and sun, gales and snowstorms too. These things are tough, you know. Some have been with me long term, as in life. Okay, I was always sad when others chose to die, by slipping over a porch's edge, falling many floors, leaving their pots in autumn winds, thinking they could fly, or swim away in monsoon rains. Someone told me, your plants are nice, but they're dead. Ah, that's not so, I said. You just wait, and spring will come, even to my porch, one of these years. A longer narrative poem, and then I'm wrapping up quickly. Turbulence. He had a kite when he was young, bird-shaped and big white. He sailed it high in the endless sky, smooth but often wild, tugging at his paper life. But a sky acrobat he would become, and with the skill, the envy of his friends, he would swallow sharp rise far above them all, to where the stars meet with the sea, and become the captain of the sky. When school was out, his report card said he'd been a dreaming bird at times, a nervous and a stupid duck stuck on the ground. There were no credits for staring through the classroom windows, gazing into girls' dark eyes to see the moving clouds outside and the swans he would love as the captain of the sky. In the Air Force, they would use him as test pilot, strapped him tight in atomic chairs, electrodes to his head. Face swelled up with astroglare, he was raising screaming metal parts across the crisp horizon lines, where silver doves hang in the air to greet the captain of the sky. His napalm droppings on Vietnam scorched little children and their kites. Gravity tears slid from his eyes. He would think about his own sons too, who had never seen their father in the sky. His wife, freed goose, had taken them, said they must have solid ground beneath their tiny shoes. At times like this, a bitter turbulence shuddered through his wings. And the clouds were angry, screaming, man was not meant to fly. Yet he would know the tango of the rising winds, how to lead his way in loving steps, dancing like a silent albatross, captain of the sky. When fingers stopped to fire missiles cleanly, they tried to give him paperwork. But he would rush around the offices like a panicked cock inside a cage, till he joined commercial aviation, flying jumbos on all continents, mass transporting hundreds of the city people with their laptops, rucksacks, and wine bottles. He would watch them eat their plastic food and flirt with heckless chicks of cabin crew. He never screwed those willing stewardesses, never found again the clouds in anybody's eyes, never left his coffee cockpit, never needing sleep. He'd sit owl-like in his seat, could not stand the floor below his feet. So on the ground the money went on spirits meat. On those days he guzzled like his engine's fuel, and drunk he would inwardly cry, he should have been the captain of the sky. Then one day there was another turbulence. He'd argued with flight plans given by computers when the air turned wild, an angry fury clawing at the wings. 15,000 feet above, splinters ripped the fuselage. All engines cut straight out. The plane rolled over, losing height. Adults screaming for their lives. Colleagues fainted. Their pigeon hearts gave out. His ribcage burst. The coffee spilled. Yet he sat there calm. The compass in his mind began to turn, while he spread his wings out wide, and eagle-eyed stood above them all, the captain of the sky. Right, this is very short. Dawn. Crisp night air, trees flare with symphonies of bird song. Sun's first rays awake. Right, I've started with night, I'll finish with morning. Morning! A beam of sun twinkled softly at my toe. Eyes soaked in sweet sounds of my radio, stretched, breathed, opened eyes, jumping out of bed, now towering in freshing shower, splashed night smack of my face. Next to me I saw that mirror grin. In despair I did my hair, then leapt into warming clothes, found strange letter by the door I didn't see before, turned to kitchen to get fed, and raided fridge in nanosecond. Laughing at breakfast news and NBC, I slurped down plenty tea, pushed piles of paper in my case. I flung down the stairs, trod along the roads of the white sunny city, feeling the fierce throbbing in this my little heart. Nothing can stop me now to enjoy the beginning of a new long day. Thank you.
Max Boston. I want to thank you for handling the musical accompaniment from downstairs. That's something, unfortunately, we'd like to control, but we can't. But let's have another hand for our feature, Max Boston. Thank you. A couple of things to take care of. We're going to be back in 3 minutes, 2 minutes, if you'll just bear with us. Ready to start with our second feature. Great pleasure to introduce the next reader, Alda Marshall. And we met at the Wang Center Small Press Festival a couple of years ago. And I discovered someone not only a poet, but a marvelous singer and a dramatist. And I saw Back to Black Women down at the Strand 4 nights in a row, full houses. She's working on a piece now based on the life of Dorothy Dandridge. And it's with great pleasure I invite to the stage at this time, if everyone will go, Let's have a hand for Alda Marshall.
Good evening. How is everyone today? Good, bad, and different, kind of in the middle, down the road, like what's happening here? Good. Well, that's good. I was just in a car accident. It was kind of a jolting experience. What's really interesting about it, I was just sharing with Julius, like about 20 minutes before that, I said, I'm going to have a jolting experience. But I didn't know it was going to be a car accident. However, I did at that moment also say that it was going to be a positive experience, which I was just thinking how I needed a new car, so I guess perhaps this is the time. So, but that's neither here nor there. You guys don't care if I was in a car accident.
Sure we do.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you, thank you. My name is Alda Marshall. I am a poet and a playwright and a singer and probably a couple other things that are a little more boring. I work for the Boston Housing Authority as program manager. Yay! And mostly, I just got my title today. My mother called me a diplomat. I said, wow, you know, out of all the titles I've ever had in my life, I have never ever been called a diplomat. And I pondered on that for a while, and I said, no, I think I'm more an ambassador. My friend Tony, he's more of a diplomat. You know, he just knows the right thing to say just at the right time, with the right touch. I haven't quite gotten that down yet, but I'm working on that one. TBA, to be announced, I'll be back with that. I'd like to share with you 3 poems. It's sort of a trilogy. I have been asked on several occasions, 3 occasions to be exact, to speak at the Martin Luther King celebration at Faneuil Hall. And so I'd like to share with you those 3 poems for those 3 years. And then I would like to talk a little bit about women. I'm sort of embracing the woman issue now that I've turned 33, and I think that I have finally come into some semblance of womanhood. I'm not quite sure if I have a handle on this yet, but I am giving it some effort. The first poem is called What is a Dream? What is a dream? A series of images, ideas occurring in certain stages of sleep. A wild fancy or hope. Anything extremely beautiful, fine, or pleasant. Dream. To experience a dream. To conceive of, imagine, to pass idly in a reverie as time. To aspire or hope. I'm dreaming. Do you dream of what could truly be? Segregation, separation, isolation. We need a new nation across the world that isn't packing a pistol in every pocket. Take your time. Form a strong image of our new generation. Russia never worked. Didn't the Russian nation fall? How do we get in this mess anyway? And more importantly, how do we get out? Dream. Dreams do come true if you live them every day. My hand, your hand, together we stand, divided we fall, divide and conquer. Who is our enemy anyway? Did the news on TV tell us this week? Cuba, China, a new disease. Who cares? Does it matter? And hope. For what? Money? Did it ever bring you true happiness or just a moment of relief? Catch your breath, get back in the ring, but wait a minute, that's right, we don't know who we're fighting. I'll tell you. Hate, fear, violence, ignorance, selfishness, cancer of the mind, indecision, despair, lust, viciousness, deception, treachery. Should I go on? We all know what is right from wrong. If you don't know, then stop for a moment. Just for one moment and feel. Does your life feel good to you? Does your wife lift you up and not till you're down? Did you hold out your hand? Did you say hello to your mailman? Today, let's forget about what color he is. Haven't we gotten past that yet? Don't we know we can create ourselves in a perfect image? It's not impossible to live a dream, to end the violence that has infiltrated our bodies, disrupting our lives, locking our doors, locking our hearts, closing our minds. Remember, we are in a dream. Live in that dream. We are a dream, a vision of loveliness. been said that life is a series of trade-offs. Good deals, bad deals, ups and downs, giving and taking, back and forth, fulfilling needs and wants and wishes, desires, dreams, hopes, and reality. Let's face it, life is a sacrifice. A student sacrifices sleep to cram for an exam. The marathon runner sacrifices physical comfort to win the race. The business person sacrifices time at home with his family to advance his career. We all give up something. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Hasn't each of us made that commitment, that vow? Isn't it a principle by which we all govern our lives? But how seriously do we take that commitment, and what sacrifices are we willing to give to make sure that oath of honor always rings true? Martin Luther King was a well-educated man who went to the finest schools, became a doctor, was father to a beautiful family, a pillar in his community, a pastor of one of the largest churches in America. The man was living good. Why would someone who has the comfort of all risk everything for just a mere notion, a thought, a dream? Why would a man go to jail, get stabbed, march in the rain, sleet, and storms, risk the safety of his family, battle hostile vigilantes, endure the terrorism of being bombed in his own home, and ultimately give his very life for the sake of his allegiance to God and his country? Then ask yourself, what have you done lately? Everybody is not a Martin Luther King, a Malcolm X, or JFK. We may never know the supreme sacrifice of giving our lives for the principles of righteousness and justice and peace, but we can make a difference in this world. We can reach out a helping hand to the elderly. We can shovel snow for the neighbor who has fallen with the flu. We can sacrifice 2 hours of our precious time to tutor a child once a week. We can clean out the microwave at work when we know nobody else is going to do it.
Tonight on Noise Party, we presented Stone Soup Poetry at T.T. the Bears with Letif, Nancy Mindich, The Wrong Hero, Jim Rader, Chief Autumn Tree, Chris Robbins, Diana Saenz, S.A.S.P, Joanna Nealor, Marc Goldfinger, Ashagra, Dan Luft, Asnan, Onart, Jack Powers and Company, Matt Boston, and Alda Marshall. Part 1. You know, I read that too fast. Let me go through that again. Letif, Nancy Mindich, The Wrong Hero, Jim Rader, Chief Autumn Tree, Chris Robbins, Diana Saenz, S.A.S.P, Joanna Nealor, Marc Goldfinger, Ashagra, Dan Luft, Asnan, Onart, Jack Powers and Company, Matt Boston, and Alda Marshall. Part 1. Part 2 of this performance will be broadcast in 2 weeks. This party is televised at 9 p.m. Wednesdays on Cambridge Community Television.